Hi, I'm Rob Elder. I'll be your instructor this term for Qual 8000 Quality Strategy Value Creation. As you can see, I'm not in the classroom. I'm actually at my dining room table recording this for you. So this term will be a little different for most of us. The way the course has been set up for this semester, um, we'll have a variety or a series of pre-recorded lectures. And then every week we'll also have a live Zoom session where we can interact, be able to answer questions and ask questions, and we'll be able to do some activities to help along the course and hopefully help us get to know each other a little better. Today, all I want to do is kind of set the stage for what this course is meant to do and where it fits into the entire PQE program. So why process quality? So any organization, profit, non-for-profit, government for that matter, any organization is designed around doing something. So creating a product, delivering a service, any of these kinds of activities. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is deliver the thing that you've designed, whether it's your product or your service, to meet your customer or stakeholders' needs. And experience shows that success in meeting those needs and the variety of different business goals that you would set up in the process depends on a fairly complex cross-functional set of processes interlocking with each other. When they don't fit properly, or when a process doesn't actually achieve the kind of things that it's looking for, or it's inefficient, uh, you end up having quality issues. Now, in a little while, we'll talk about the multiple different dimensions of quality. But at this point, we could just look at the big three principles that kind of have to do with process quality itself. So first one, is it effective? So does the process do what it's intended to do? But even farther than that, does it actually meet customer needs? Because that's ultimately what you're trying to achieve. The end point, the start and the end point for all of this is your customer. Second, is it efficient? Is it able to be produced? Are you able to deliver this service or this product the most cost-effective way? And that has to do with materials, that has to do with design choices, that has to do with how you actually perform a variety of other processes and subroutines. And then finally, is it adaptable? So can it change and adapt over time? One of the things that's certainly true today and will continue in the future is that customer needs and the environment that you work in continues to morph and change. So your processes need to be able to morph and change to reflect the world that you operate in and the changing needs of your customers. So technological evolution and increased global presence and customer expectations has really kind of put a lot of pressure on costs and some of the dimensions of quality that we'll talk about in subsequent lectures. Now, a lot of this has been coming for a while, but there's really been quite a squeeze in this area, certainly in the last 20 or 30 years. Particularly the technological evolution part that is computerization and communication. And it's often referred to as the fourth iteration of the Industrial Revolution. And not only does it change what we can do, right? So computers and phones and all kinds of products and services that we never were able to do before, but it changes the underlying technologies that allows us to actually do business with customers either locally or internationally. And this creates an entirely different world where, go back 60, 70 years, and most businesses, your customers were co-located to you. They were in the same geography. They were fairly local. Your scale of operation was usually fairly limited. Whereas today, you could be anywhere and potentially do business almost anywhere in the world, certainly for the creation of most products. Most businesses, you'll find, are actually driven by new product introduction. And that's because the new products are a way to highlight either technological changes in the product space that you're in, or they may be ways to be able to reach customers in a new way. This happens with services as well. And so if if so much is about new product introduction, you got to also recognize that it's not just about introducing new products. The things that you produce and the things that you release have to resonate with customers. Otherwise, the business doesn't exist. So each time there's a new introduction or a new revolution or a new evolution of what you're doing, it has to meet the needs of the customers that you're targeting. And those customer needs probably have changed since the last product introduction, which is one of the reasons why I go back to the adaptable is a really, really big part of this story. We need to understand and improve the existing processes that we have today in order to be able to improve them tomorrow, which allows us to compete. The world is very dynamic and continues to increase in the level of change. If we stand still, if we continue to do things the way we did them yesterday, it won't take long before competitors from other countries or even from the same countries as our own will eclipse our business and be able to do things that we're not capable of doing, and the result will be we'll get left behind. Now, in many ways, this course is an introduction for all of the PQE program. So we're going to talk about some of the overall program goals now. So part of it is to provide knowledge and techniques for you to help improve the delivery and the quality of manufactured goods and services. We're looking at many different skills that will either be introduced to you or potentially upgraded. And these skills tends to be very transferable ones. So whether you go into an industrialized manufacturing environment, whether you go into a service environment, whether you go into a government, an NGO kind of environment, any of these environments, the skills that you will learn throughout the program will be transferable to those areas. There's a big focus on tools to solve problems, particularly related to quality of goods. So some of the stuff that we'll talk about in a little bit looks at all the various different dimensions of quality. So you really get a sense of where all those aspects live. But other courses will delve into designing experiments in order to be able to test things out ahead of time. Ways to look at changes in processes and movements to eliminate waste, and things that you do to reduce the incidence of defects. Because ultimately quality is about preventing problems from happening, not about fixing them after they've happened so much. You'll also learn to communicate both technical information and other kinds of information to different groups and organizations. One of the things that you'll find is the place in the organization that you live very much has a coloring on how you look at the world. And the language that you use and the aspects of certain things, you'll play up with one area that you might not with others. So for example, talking to an engineering crowd will be much more interested in statistics, in details about the dimensions of the product, things like that. That probably doesn't resonate so much with the sales or marketing group. Sales or marketing group wants to know, who does it appeal to? How does it appeal to those customers? How does it position with competitive products? So, I mean, you're looking at the same thing, but you're looking from different angles. And it's important to be able to understand how to communicate with different groups in order to be effective. Most students in this program have designs to work for an organization in a quality role. And when you get into one of those roles, ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to spend time trying to get people to change the way they do things now. And those changes are designed to improve various different aspects of quality. In order to get people to make those changes willingly, you need to understand how to communicate with them in a way that resonates with them. Overall, you want to be able to create value for an enterprise by supporting the role of quality as a strategic element. Because really quality in many of the aspects is about meeting customer needs more so and doing it more effectively and efficiently, which allows you to be more cost effective and frankly, usually more profitable. There's all kinds of tools that you'll learn over the courses about value stream mapping and process mapping and quality procedures and processes and all kinds of other pieces that will give you a very robust toolbox in this area. We're going to look at applying analytical reliability methods to supporting design and engineering of products throughout the life cycle. And understanding a product life cycle is an important aspect of it. The things that are appropriate and good at the beginning of product life cycle are very different than the things that you do in maturity or when you're end of lifing. Back to the role in quality, changing behaviors involves coordinating projects to change those. So being able to run projects effectively and understanding tools in the project management space is an important part of this as well. Computerization has provided the ability to do all kinds of statistical models and analyzing, which helps us understand behaviors, in many cases before they've actually happened, so that we can test out our theories and test out our changes before finding out and then find out what's potentially wrong with them or things that we can improve before they're actually introduced into the manufacturing environment or before they're actually introduced to customers. We're going to talk about the role of customers and suppliers. And although there's not a ton of this in this course, that relationship between the two entities and how they communicate with each other and how they link with each other is so, so important. In fact, one of the things that we'll do when we look at this section in some more details is look at how suppliers really are an extension of your organization. They're not just somebody you get stuff from. Their design expertise, their sourcing expertise, their helping you in various other ways of your business. So it's a much broader relationship, certainly in today's world, than it has traditionally been. You're going to learn about performing root cause analysis to determine the source of potential quality issues. As I said, quality is really about preventing issues. And so much of that is understanding when we run into problems, what causes it? Not just the immediate cause, but what are the root causes? What are those things underneath that are causing those particular issues that we see, so that we can deal with them once and for all and not have these things crop up again. Utilize analytical techniques in order to establish and develop efficient and effective deliveries of products and services. So how are we going to do this? Well, as I said, it's a little different this term. We're going to be doing this remotely. So you're going to watch recorded lectures like this one. They'll all be posted at least a week ahead of time so that you'll be able to consume them at any point during the week. In many cases, there are other posted videos that are related to the content that we're talking about that week. There's the textbook. Now, the link for the e-text is actually in the course material, and when we do the live session this week, I'll go over where things are in Econostoga, and I'll point out where the textbook link is. But there's relevant portions of the textbook. Those are called out in the instructional plan, which I'll point out again when we go through the Econostoga orientation. And then every week, we're going to have a live Zoom discussion. So what I've done is I've taken the course material, I've created these lecture series, and then I pulled areas out where it's more conducive for us to interact. So what happens is every week, and I'll send out the Zoom link ahead of time for every week so that you can join us. We'll get together live. We'll talk about some of the questions. It'll give you an opportunity to ask me questions, and there'll be some activities that we can work through that hopefully help us get a little farther into the material and get to know each other a little better.